to reiterate what I said last time. I want all of us to be able to express our full potential and intelligence at ProSynergy to solve the world's problems. And as I thought more about this productivity thing, so there's an interesting thing that can feel like a win-lose situation where the business owner or the boss or the manager wants to get more for less, right? We want more productivity, less people, right? And a lot of employees might come and say, I want more of what I get for less of my input. Like let's just take salary, for example. I'd like to get higher pay and only work 3 days a week. Wouldn't that be amazing? So don't you kind of have this like win-lose situation? Well, what if there's a third way where it can be win-win? Where, yes, we can get the full potential, full productivity of every person, and every person wants that. And every person, and in turn, the business owner or the manager agrees not to treat you like a machine, but to give you autonomy, give you freedom, give you the ability to pursue the things you're passionate about. So it can be a win-win. We can have both. So we don't need to get stuck in this win-lose thinking. So I just thought of that. I was like, okay, Tim's getting up and he wants me to be more productive. Well, of course. But can't this be win-win? So I want to just review what I mentioned last time, which was the 3 birth gifts that we were given as people when we were born. That God created all of us in a certain way. These 3 birth gifts are a way of looking at it from my favorite author, Stephen Covey. And I think it's really good. So we're going to review that. The first one are those 4 intelligences. So if you remember, we want to look at each other as whole people, not just bodies walking around, but we have a body, we have a heart, we have a mind, and we have a spirit. And so all of us are whole people, and all of these things matter, and we care about all these things. So these 4 parts of us have 4 different kinds of intelligence as well. For body, you could say BQ. We all know what IQ is, right? And that's your mind, right? For body, you could say BQ. For heart, we often talk about EQ, emotional intelligence. And for spirit, we could talk about SQ, spiritual intelligence. And we have the opportunity to grow all 4 of our intelligences. Not just one, but all 4 of them. And when we grow all 4 of them, we can be much more productive and bring a lot more value into the world. So let's just think a little bit about IQ for a bit, because we all have heard about IQ and our intelligence, our mental, our brains, our mind's intelligence. What are some ways you can think of where we can develop and grow this? Some people say IQ is fixed. Let's think about it in terms of how can we grow our mind's intelligence. Throw out some ideas.
Mental agility.
Mental agility. Can you break that down? What do we do?
Things that make you think fast, like brain teasers.
That's great.
You can change your IQ.
You can change your IQ, says Jemima, and build new pathways in your brain. It's scientific by doing things like learning new things like language, word puzzles, and just challenges that are unique, and new for you. All right, good. Any other ideas? Meditation. Okay, good. Yeah, meditation increases the health of our minds, right? So that we're able to think sharp. Yeah.
Reading nonfiction or fiction.
Yeah, reading books, right? All right, we'll leave it at that for now, but that gives you some ideas. Okay, we can do something to develop this, and it's worth it because it will allow you to bring more value into the world. When you bring more value into the world, you will be a more effective person, happier person. Let's think about EQ. That's another one we've heard more about, okay, emotional intelligence. What are some ways that we can develop our emotional intelligence? And this has to do with more with our heart. Yeah, doing something, an act of kindness for somebody without any expectation, right? Thank you, Krishna. So if you were to read a book on emotional intelligence or something, often people look at it as, awareness of self, first of all, and then the ability to manage yourself, your own emotions and responses, and then awareness going beyond that to awareness of others, understanding other people well, and then being able to relate to them really well. So all those aspects make up our emotional intelligence. So important if we want to actually work together as a team, right? Otherwise, we might be counterproductive to each other. So let's keep building that up. That will serve you in every single area of your life. BQ. What is body intelligence? What do you think this is, and how do you think we can develop it? So, it basically our body it's a really important part. It needs to function well for us, right? So what can we do to improve the way our body functions? Exercise, yes. Healthy eating, thanks, Karan.
Morning habits.
There you go. Setting a morning routine that gets you off to a good start in the day. Ashish just started something, and it's already helping. Yeah, that's good. You can think of many ways. I think meditation also was already mentioned, can really help. We have to take care of our bodies, right? If we want to be productive people, if we want to be effective people. That's really important. What about spiritual intelligence? If you remember me talking about this part of us has to do with our conscience, which is like that kind of guides us on what's right and wrong. We can't hardly explain it. Somehow there's a universal around the world, no matter what religion will inform it. Scripture will inform it, other families will inform it, but everyone has a conscience and a desire to do what's right. So how can we develop this intelligence? Focus. So how we see to understand the reality, and to keep ourselves focused. Believe in what could be, right? Have faith. Sometimes we get cynical, but even that first exercise we did, can I be that kind of person? We have to start by believing. Yeah. We can do things like reading, trying to understand what are the principles, of right and wrong in the world. And another thing is, we kind of know who might be a bad group of friends and who might be a good group of friends. Why? One is influencing us to do things that we think might not be good, and another one is influencing us. So you can choose your friends because they will develop your own spiritual intelligence or conscience. Choosing your friends, choosing what you set your mind on. That all makes a difference. And that's important because everything we're doing, you're guided by that. And if we're doing things in our work or whatever that goes against our conscience, we'll not do well. We'll not be an effective person because the integrity of your own self is gone. So whatever we believe, what our values are, this is where Pro Synergy's values come out of too. Okay, we are responsible, we are generous, and we're growth-minded. We believe generosity and kindness to others is right. It's a principle. And so we believe if we live by this, and that's how we do our work, then we'll be people of integrity. And we can continue developing that as well. So if you develop all four intelligences, we're all given this as a birthright, as a birth gift. The birth gift number 2, and I just have to keep this in front of you again and again and again, that between stimulus and response, there's a space. In that space lies our freedom and power to choose our response. And in those choices lie our growth and our happiness. It's a quote from Stephen Covey. So again, unless we get this, we can hardly grow. We'll stay pretty stuck in life. But if we get this, we can grow beyond what we can even imagine once we start realizing we're not a product of circumstances, but although our circumstances are this way, I can make choices that lead to a better result in my life. And this power to choose is a gift that's given to anybody. And people might try to control you, but they can't. Even the most controlling person, you can still do something. Controlling environment, you can still do something. So Covey actually gave an example of someone who worked in a company where the boss was very controlling, micromanaged everybody. He had to have every idea, make every decision, and just wanted everybody to do what he said. And I feel like there might be more of those kind of businesses around us, and maybe we even have experience in something like that. And a lot of the people in that company they complained in the hallways and they trash talked their boss, and it's like, this is a terrible place to work, but I need somewhere to work. So, that was kind of their response. It's like, because my boss is this way, this is what everybody does. We're just going to complain. We're going to, try to get back at him where we can. We're going to be happy when he makes a mistake, because that kind of response is kind of a normal human problem. But there was one guy who said, no, I can actually do something about this. So he tried to think about what does his boss actually want. He thought out ahead, and he would come to his boss with proposals, with ideas, not based on him trying to change his boss, but just trying to figure out what does his boss actually want. And as he started doing that, his boss started valuing him more and more, and eventually his boss would ask him, what do you think, about this? What do you think we should do? And relying on him more for decisions. So that's an example in a business, but there's just so many other ways that you can apply this principle that, think about it. In a situation you don't quite like, there is something we can do about it. There is always something we can do. The third birth gift is principles that govern the world, that govern the universe. There are principles that are timeless. They are universal, so we can count on them. They were true 1,000 years ago, and they'll be true 1,000 years from now. So these principles you can really try to seek out. And Steve Covey wrote the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and that was his goal, is to find out what are the principles that govern whether a person is effective or not. And then he explained these habits. And we've talked a lot about being proactive, which is the first one. Responsibility, the power to choose your response. The second one, I want to just talk about a little bit more, and then we'll close this, is begin with the end in mind. It's vision, the power of mental creation. Remember what I said about that word cloud? Can you imagine yourself being that kind of person? If you can imagine that, that's the first creation. You're well on your way to becoming that. Vision is really, really important because without vision, you'll stay stuck and you won't have clarity about what to do. So that's why at Pro Synergy, we try to create a vision that's compelling and keep it in front of everybody, so we all know, why we do what we do and where we're headed this quarter, what are the priorities. And so we try to set that vision. And our coach literally tells us in the leadership meeting, he says, okay, look at this, all the numbers we're shooting for at the end of this quarter and the outcomes that we're looking for. He's like, picture that in your mind. Does that give you goosebumps? And usually it does. It's like, I'm getting goosebumps, like, wow, if this were true, I can see it. And when you can see it, you can make it happen. Then everything you do, you're working towards that. This can come down to all kinds of different things we'll just stick in business for now. So any kind of challenge you might have in the workplace, can you envision a better outcome? Can you envision the growth? Can you envision your own personal growth? Can you envision yourself with a portfolio of clients? You know them well, right? You know who these guys are and how many children they have. You know their struggles in their business. You know exactly how you're providing value to them with the bookkeeping you're doing. And you envision yourself on a phone call with them and they're like, now I know what to do, because they're looking at a report that you created for them. Can you envision that? And only when you envision it can you start to make that happen. Otherwise, we don't know what to do or where to go. there's a proverb from the ancient Jewish scriptures that says, "Where there is no vision, people cast off restraint, but blessed is the one who heeds wisdom's instruction." So where there's no vision, I'm going to try to apply this to a business setting. Where we don't have vision ends up being kind of chaotic because we don't really know what to do and how to do it. We don't have clarity about what to do. It results in inefficiencies, lack of productivity. It results in conflicts because we don't know where we're going, and someone thinks one thing, someone thinks the other, because they think we're headed over here and the other person thinks we're headed over here. That results in kind of casting off restraint or chaos. But with vision, we can be a well-ordered team working towards the same goal, which will result in much, much greater productivity. And the last part, but blessed is the one who heeds wisdom's instruction. I think this wisdom we can look at as those principles that we know lead to effectiveness. You can seek out this wisdom, seek out those principles that lead to effectiveness, and heeding to it means you're going to do something about it. You're going to align your life to these principles. So if we have the vision there and we work towards the vision with these values or principles, we can get there. Our coach brought this up, and it was a really great moment in our leadership team. It can be applied in so many situations. There are things within your circle of control. So our circle of concern is quite big. Some of those things we can actually influence, and some of those things we can actually control. Mostly we control our own attitudes and our own actions. Right? We can't control other people. We can influence other people. An example for Titus was for marketing, it can be frustrating because you do all these things, but you don't know if the customer is going to sign the contract. He can't control that lead. He can't make him sign the contract, like grab his finger. But he can influence through a good sales process. Things he can control are the way how he shows up to sell, his attitude, and his actions, how he presents that. And the same for many, many things that we do. When thinking in terms of this, trying to move out and influence beyond what we've been doing, I think this is a really, really good endeavor. Because when we try to influence, we're trying to make a difference in the world, right? So try to expand your sphere of influence about the things that you care about. Then you'll be able to make more impact. So some things in your job will be inside your circle of influence, and some things might be outside of your circle of influence. And there's different ways to do this. So at work, there are a lot of things you can just do it. You don't have to ask anybody, and you don't have to tell anybody you did it. You know it's well within your circle of influence at the center of it. You can just do it. There are some things that we do, and then we should report on them. So you don't have to ask anybody before you do it, but after you do it, we should report. Maybe report in the meetings, or you can report different metrics or scorecards or things like that. Because it's important that other people know. Still within your influence, yeah. Then there's some things, as you're getting towards the outside edge of your influence, there's some things you should do. You can do it, but immediately report. You know, it's like, because the person you report to should probably know right away, just in case he wants to change it or something like that. As you get outside of your influence, you can no longer just do something, right? But you can come to the person you report to and say, hey, I intend to do this, and I love this one. Because, okay, you've already thought through it, you're taking the self-initiative, but you know you probably can't make that decision yourself. You can come up and say, hey, I intend to do this and this and this, and the person you're reporting to can say, go for it. Or, have you thought about, wait a second. You know, he has the opportunity, but he doesn't have to spend a lot of time. If he likes it, he can say, go for it, and you just go do it. As you get further away, you might just make a recommendation. Okay, so, and then as you get further out, you might just ask a question, right? It's not really, it's so far out of my circle of influence, but maybe I can ask a question that will at least make people think about it a little bit more. And then there are things so far out that you just wait until told, right? So this is a framework. If you want to be a person who takes self-initiative, you have to have vision for something first. And then you need to realize that you're not a product of circumstances. You can do something about it, which results in you expanding your sphere of influence. Then you need the emotional awareness to know, emotional intelligence to know which of these to go for, right? How do I, and this is for influence, this is for expanding your sphere of influence, if you want to be that kind of person. All right. Thanks, and this will conclude my harping on these things, and we're going to go into more habits and practical tools such as these. I might still change this list, but these are ones I want to teach, and you can decide whether you're going to do them or not. I'm not going to micromanage you, but I'm just going to give you the opportunity to hear from me how to do make these kind of habits, productivity habits. All right. Thank you all.